Billions of years ago, before forests, oceans, dinosaurs, or even the sun itself existed, there was only darkness. No earth, no moon, no life. Just a cold cloud of gas and dust drifting through the Milky Way. But hidden inside that cloud was the beginning of everything. About 4.6 billion years ago, gravity started pulling that enormous cloud inward. Faster and faster it collapsed, spinning into a giant glowing disk. Matter smashed together with unbelievable force. Temperatures climbed into the millions of degrees. And then, at the center of it all, something ignited. The sun was born. Around this newborn star, debris circled like a cosmic storm. Tiny grains of rock collided with each other over millions of years, becoming pebbles, then boulders, then mountain-sized objects. Eventually, one of those growing worlds would become Earth. But early Earth looked nothing like the planet we know today. It was a nightmare. The surface was covered in molten rock. Volcanoes erupted constantly, throwing lava thousands of meters into the air. Toxic gases filled the atmosphere. There was no oxygen, no plants, no water, no life. And the violence was only beginning. During the formation of the solar system, planets constantly crashed into one another. Entire worlds were destroyed before they could fully form. Earth survived by sheer luck. Then came one of the most catastrophic collisions in planetary history. A young planet, roughly the size of Mars, known today as Theia, drifted into Earth's path. The impact was beyond imagination. Theia slammed into Earth at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. Entire sections of both planets vaporized instantly. Oceans of magma exploded into space. Debris scattered across orbit in glowing rivers of molten rock. For a moment, Earth itself nearly ceased to exist. But out of that destruction came something extraordinary. The scattered debris slowly gathered together under gravity, forming a massive sphere orbiting our wounded planet, the Moon. Without that collision, our world today might be completely unrecognizable. The Moon stabilized Earth's rotation, controlled tides, and helped create conditions that life would eventually depend on. One disaster had nearly destroyed Earth. Instead, it accidentally helped save its future. But Earth was still trapped inside a cosmic shooting gallery. For hundreds of millions of years, giant asteroids and comets bombarded the young planet non-stop. Some impacts were so powerful they could boil entire oceans away. Craters opened across the surface faster than they could disappear. One of those incoming objects may have carried something incredibly important: water. As icy comets slammed into the planet, steam filled the atmosphere. Earth slowly cooled over time. Eventually, temperatures dropped low enough for water vapor to condense. Rain began to fall. Not for days, not for years, for millions of years. Storms flooded the planet until vast oceans covered most of Earth's surface. The world transformed from a molten wasteland into a blue water world. And somewhere in those ancient oceans, something impossible happened. Life emerged. No one knows exactly how, Maybe lightning struck chemicals in shallow seas. Maybe life began around deep-sea volcanic vents. Maybe the ingredients arrived from space itself. But around 3.7 billion years ago, microscopic organisms appeared in Earth's oceans. Tiny, simple, fragile, yet they would become the ancestors of every living thing that has ever existed. At first, life barely changed the planet. These organisms floated through hostile oceans under a dimmer young sun. The sky above was thick with methane and carbon dioxide. The seas were rich with dissolved iron, giving the oceans a strange greenish color. But then evolution made one of the most important discoveries in Earth's history: photosynthesis. Around 2.4 billion years ago, ancient microbes called cyanobacteria learned how to use sunlight for energy. As a byproduct, they released oxygen into the atmosphere. At first, oxygen was actually poisonous to many early organisms. Countless species died off in what scientists sometimes call Earth's first mass extinction. But over time, oxygen transformed the planet forever. The skies slowly changed, the oceans changed, the chemistry of Earth changed, and high above the planet, oxygen formed another critical shield: the ozone layer. For the first time, life had protection from deadly solar radiation. Earth was becoming safer for complex organisms to evolve. But nature always demands a price. As oxygen levels rose, greenhouse gases dropped. The planet could no longer trap heat as effectively. Temperatures plummeted across the globe. Then Earth froze. Some scientists believe glaciers expanded so far that nearly the entire planet became covered in ice. Oceans may have frozen from pole to pole in an event known as Snowball Earth. Imagine standing there if you could, a silent white planet drifting through space. Frozen oceans, towering ice sheets, almost no visible life. Earth had survived asteroid bombardments and planetary collisions, only to nearly die from cold. Many organisms vanished forever during these global freezes, but somehow life endured beneath the ice, clinging to survival in tiny pockets of liquid water near volcanic vents and equatorial seas. And eventually, the ice retreated. Volcanoes released enormous amounts of carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. The greenhouse effect returned. Earth warmed again. Life escaped extinction by the narrowest margin. Again. But the disasters shaping Earth were far from over, because beneath the oceans, the planet itself was beginning to move. Massive sections of Earth's crust drifted slowly across the surface. Continents collided, merged, and split apart in cycles lasting hundreds of millions of years. The world would never stop changing. And soon, those shifting continents would trigger new catastrophes and open the door for some of the strangest creatures Earth had ever seen. Over immense stretches of time, Earth's drifting continents slowly assembled into gigantic land masses. The first true supercontinents began to appear. One of the earliest may have been Valbara, formed more than 3 billion years ago. Later came larger supercontinents like Rodinia and Pannotia, enormous worlds where nearly all land on Earth was fused together. Imagine standing on one of those ancient continents. You could walk for thousands of kilometers without ever seeing an ocean. But these supercontinents were unstable.